For the first time since COVID, the West Indies lost the first match of a T20 International Series at home. This is an opportunity for the team now to show their mettle and to come from behind to win a series against one of their fiercest rival, England. Hello everyone, welcome to the #1 cricket channel in the Caribbean. I've invited here this morning Basil Butcher Jr., our longtime analyst, and Dwight Chattu to help us to analyze the West Indies performance yesterday. Gentlemen, welcome to the Cricket Forum.
Thank you, Carlton, for inviting me, and good morning to all your viewers, and good morning to you, Chattu.
Yeah. Thanks for inviting me as well, Carlton. I wanna also thank all your viewers. Just tell them good morning, and also Basil, really nice to have you again.
Gentlemen, starting with Basil Butcher Jr., please just give me your overall assessment of the West Indies performance yesterday.
I actually was reviewing the entire game this morning because I didn't see it live. And 182, the top order did not get the job done. And we were saved by Motie and Shepherd in the lower order. And in my view, that's where we lost the game. With our bowling attack on a flat batting friendly track like that, 182 was never winning runs.
Very much. Basil, over to you, Dwight. What's your overall assessment of yesterday's performance?
Well, I agree with Basil that the top order didn't get off. But I was personally very, very, very impressed with the ability of this team to have gotten all the way up to 182. I think at some point in time, the score was like 69 for 5. And the West Indies teams that we have become accustomed to would have basically rolled over and would have scored 102. To have put up a competitive 182 score, I thought showed some maturity, some depth, some ability, and some conviction within this team that I was happy to see on the batting side. Because you will have days where you will end up in a slump. We have seen it with teams like Australia and India. I'm sorry. And somehow they have been able to recover and post competitive scores. I thought personally that the bigger issue I saw yesterday in the team was the inability of the bowling team to put England under some pressure. Salt has always been a threat. If he gets off, that team normally rose to victory, and that's what happened again. And I thought that we should have, whether it is in terms of the field placement or in terms of the way in which we attack, or just the overall quality of our bowling, we should have been able to put England under a lot of pressure and push the game a bit further. And that, for me, was the disappointing part of it, the failure on the bowling side to put real pressure on England.
Thank you very much. Basil, following up on what Dwight just said now, Ravman Powell, the West Indies captain, said, give credit to the boys for getting to 182. We saw against Australia earlier this year when we were something like 12 for 3, and Rutherford and Russell played those 2 innings. We saw against New Zealand. Those come to mind right away. We saw in one-day games against Sri Lanka just a few weeks ago. And again yesterday, we recover from 69 for 5, was it, or something thereabout, to post 182. What is this telling us about the core of the West Indies team and that structure to fight?
Yeah, it tells you that, but it also tells you that they got batting depth. They got a lot of thumpers down the line. And one of the interesting things one could point out about yesterday's game is that despite the wickets were falling, our batters everyone that came in did not let up. They kept going hard. It wasn't a situation where guys came and consolidate. They kept going hard. They kept the run rate pretty much high throughout for the most part yesterday. So that is probably part of their the way they want to play like some of the other top teams in the world. And hence maybe that's the reason why they're playing 5 bowlers rather than a 6 bowler, so they would have batting depth throughout the lineup that they could go hard for the entire 20 overs.
Dwight, what is your view on those 2 policies of the West Indies management, their T20 management, to go hard all the way and to only play 5 bowlers? What are the advantages and the disadvantages of these 2 policies? I will also ask Basil to react, but let's hear from you first, Dwight.
I personally don't have a policy with going hard if you have the batsmen to go hard with. We have seen it with other teams that did this. Remember famously the England team that was like that. They would go hard even if they're losing wickets, but they had quality in batting them. And I honestly think that we are seeing this team developing a certain quality in batting depth. I mean, you have to remember that team did not have Ralston, Chase, or Hope in the middle of in the middle, and I thought that said something. And we're seeing people like Motie becoming an all-round and being able to come into the game and put runs on the team. So I think the policy of going hard, even if you're losing wicket, works if you have the batsmen and the depth to allow it to work. Now, on the flip side, it reduced the bowlers that we have. This policy of having 5 bowlers only works if you have 5 quality bowlers. And I know you'll get there at some point in time, but I think a question mark has to be raised as to whether or not Shamar Joseph fits into being one of our best white ball bowlers. Again, I think he had a less than stellar opening, a less than stellar outing yesterday. So the policy works, but it only works if you have 5 quality bowlers who are coming into bowl. And I don't think we had the bowling strength or what we needed from the bowlers yesterday.
Basil, your turn.
Yeah, I agree with what Chato was saying. If you don't have the 5 quality, you're giving up something there. So which means you have to score heavily every time that you think your 5 bowlers can defend those runs. So if you don't get a quality score, you're gonna always be behind the 8 ball.
Thank you very much. This policy of going into matches with 5 bowlers, with 5 only bowlers. We saw last night, for example, Pakistan went into their match with only 4 bowlers and asked 2 batsmen to bowl the other 10 overs. They are largely batsmen who are batting in their top 6, but they are depending on them to bowl the other 10 over. They were not needed last night as they used 4 bowlers to bowl out Australia and won the match. We seem, however, to have shifted from that, as we in the past used to use such a similar policy where we have the 4 specialist bowlers and ask 2 batsmen to complete the other 10. Do you see that as a way we should probably go, Basil?
Look, we have to have with the Pakistanis, as you pointed out, those are 4 high quality bowlers, right? So if you get 4 high quality bowlers like what they have, you can always have batters who are useful bowlers to bowl out the other 10 overs, you know. Right. So again, like both myself and Chatu is saying, that strategy or tactic or approach, it all depends on the quality of your bowling attack.
Yes. Dwight, what do you think was a reasonable total yesterday? West Indies lost with 19 deliveries to spare and England still had 8 wickets. This was a bad beating. We were probably 50 runs short, 40 runs short. What you think was competitive yesterday? And why West Indies batsmen batted so poorly on that wicket, which appears to be a belter? Dwight?
Again, and again, I might be different to how a lot of people see. I personally thought at the start of the innings, I thought a total of around 200 would have been a quality game. I thought the game result appeared to have been lopsided in terms of what we thought a par score is because of how poorly we bowled. I don't think that we bowled as well as we should have bowled. I don't think our feeling was as well as we should have had it. I mean, looking at it, you come out of that match and you think, oh man, we should have gotten it all the way up to 250. But I thought even at 182, if we were able to apply early pressure, that it would have been a different game. I honestly believe that even at 182, we could have made that into a competitive game. So I don't join with. I personally thought that around 200 was fine. I thought 200, 180 could have been a competitive game. I don't share the belief that we needed as much as 250. That the pitch was so easy that we needed as much as 250 to have won that game. I don't join with others who say that.
Okay. Well, I have not heard that, Basil. I don't know if you have heard that. I've heard persons say that we need anywhere from about another 30 to another 50.
20.
But I have not really heard anybody say that we need 250. That is definitely, persons who are saying that is definitely over the top. Basil, on your part, was the 182. Give credit to the team for getting up to 182 after being 60 odd for 5. We are giving them credit for that. But was the 182 below par? Or was it a total that we should have defended much better?
Yeah, I think we should have defended it much better because based on the history of the ground, they said 170 something was the highest total that ever scored on that ground. And as Chato rightly said, we were not able to put pressure at any time on the English batters. You look through the bowling card, Hussein bowled 3 overs in the power play and gave up 16 runs only in his 3 overs, right? No, he gave up 16 and the other 3 overs gave up 57 because England was 73 after the power play. So what it says to me here, as you look through the bowling and the bowling stats of the other 4 bowlers, all 4 of them bowled badly. So it was a situation where one could probably say, although our bowling attack is not the strongest, we had a very bad day at the office from a bowling perspective. Very poor day. Where 4 guys, all of them, their economy rates was in double figures.
Thank you. If you were to give West Indies player of the match, not the overall player of the match, would be your West Indies player of the match, Dwight, and why?
For the game yesterday,
right.
This is tough because it's so tough because some of the players you thought, like I thought Shepherd's innings in terms of farming around the tail and pushing, I thought that was very, very, very important in terms of us getting up to a total. I thought Motie was also very, very good. But then Shepherd came around and bowled and didn't bowl as well as I expected. Same thing with Motie. So, but if there was a player of the match, I guess I would have had it between one of those two. Maybe Motie more so than Shepherd. Just thinking about
decisive. It. You have to make a decision.
I guess I'd go with Motie.
Basil, who would you go with and why?
I would go with Hussein. A guy bowled 4 overs for 20 runs in a run in an inning where a team blasted us to get to the score with 19 balls left. To bowl 4 overs for 20 runs in that massacre. I got it. And again, as I repeated, 3 of his overs were bowled in the power play. This is a guy bowling the power play. We got 2 guys outside the circle, and he was able to keep England quiet when he was bowling. And then on top of that, when he came on to bowl his last over, where England is scoring the runs going away, he bowled it for 4 runs. So every time he bowled, he kept the English batters quiet. And had not our skipper misfielded that boundary off of him, it would have been 14 runs instead of 16 runs in his first 3 overs in the power play.
Well, how do you counter what Basil said there,
Come on, man. Basil, be fair. Be fair, Basil. Be fair.
No,
Yes.
hold on. Let me finish, Chateau. I would give honorable mention to Mr. Motie and Mr. Shepherd, but I will pick Hussein as my player of the game from a West Indies perspective.
Okay, I hear what you're saying, but let's be fair. What was Hussein's figure? In the role that he was playing yesterday, it wasn't just important for him to bowl tight, but it was important for him to pick up wickets. How many wickets did he get?
He didn't get any wickets, but
So if he had put in a shift and he had picked up maybe 3 for 16, 4 for 16, and we lost the match, I'd agree with you, because he would have been shown that you needed wickets to have put real pressure on England in that game. It wasn't just enough just to restrict them initially, and England ended that game for the loss of just two wickets. So he didn't go far enough. But what Shepherd and what Motie did is that they took a score from a target that we thought would have been maybe at the best 120 to put up what everybody thought was a competitive score of 182. So I thought that what Motie did was decisive in positioning the team to win. I don't think Hussein went far enough in position us to try to win that game by taking wickets. We needed wickets.
No, I would counter that with simply saying you could see the English strategy was not to take chances with Mr. Hussein because of how dangerous a bowler he is, right? So by he putting that pressure on them, that is where the other bowlers, you open it up for the other bowlers to get wickets. And because the rest of them bowled a bunch of garbage, the pressure that he put on went for naught. So that would be my counter to your argument.
Basil, champion bowlers do it themselves. That's what we know, champion. We think about players like Shane Warne and stuff that says, forget about the rest of you guys. I'll do this myself. And I expected him, and I'm a big admirer of Hussein. I expected Hussein to have stepped in at that point and said, forget you all. I'll get this thing done myself. And he should have taken wickets, not just simply put pressure on it and then watch Shepherd come and ship our runs and watch Shamar come and everybody wondering, why is this guy holding a white ball? Maybe he should just hold on to the red ball and focus his attention there. But I just thought Hussein just needed to have taken wickets. And I'd agree with you right then and there that, yeah, he would have been my man of the match.
Well, we have an alternate view. That's all.
And that's the beauty of it. I'm going to ask you, gentlemen, about the playing 11 for later today. However, before we come to the playing 11 for later today, I want to ask you to talk about the view among some members of this community, and I think in the wider Caribbean public, that it is now time for Rovman Powell to step down. Just give me your reaction. That is not necessarily my opinion. I don't think that we reached there as yet, but I want to ask you, gentlemen, because it is something that is being discussed in this community. Go ahead first this time, Dwight.
Wow. I personally believe that sort of talk is quite unfortunate, and you underestimate what Rovman Powell, what Rovman Powell brings to the team and how important the qualities that Rovman Powell brings to the team is. Zin, yes, he has not been as stellar as he had a good series, I think, against I think it was Sri Lanka. But generally he has underperformed where we expected a bit more. We have seen good development in Hope, good development in Chase. There are the Hetty fans out there who think that Hetty should be walking in this team, and there are people who will say, oh, he shouldn't be in the team. But the captaincy issue, his ability to hold this team together, his ability, his leadership skill are so important in these teams. There's no way I could think of dropping Rovman Powell from this team. This team was nothing until Rovman Powell became captain. And this team is still very much Rovman Powell's team.
Thank you very much. Basil, your views?
Look, I have said that Powell's days as captain will be coming to a screeching halt if he does not perform as a batsman. And that is the reality of the situation. The same thing happened to him when they gave him the ODI captaincy, which was premature. They should have never given it to him. And in short order, because of his lack of performance with the bat, he got dropped and the captaincy was taken away. He was the vice captain of the ODI team when we went to the last World Cup qualifiers. He was there before and then to the qualifiers. And then when he was finally dropped and out of the ODI team completely, Powell has to carry his weight as a batsman. If he does not carry his weight as a batsman, sooner or later there will be a hard decision will have to be made. Now, they made a decision yesterday in playing Hetmeyer. Well, I'm going to stop there because that goes into another topic.
Okay. Do you have a reaction to that? Go ahead, Dwight. I saw you shaking. Go ahead.
There is no way that I can agree with you. This team went from captain to captain to captain before they settled on Rovman Powell. And the moment Rovman Powell came in, we saw improvement in the results of the team. In case people have forgotten, this team was mindering around with a win-loss ratio of somewhere around 0.6 before Powell came into the job. And since he's been in the job, I think they have gone up to as much as 2, I think, or 1 point something. And this team has moved from being 8th in the test ranking all the way up to being 3rd or 2nd or 4th in the test in the T20 ranking since Powell has been in the thing. We just missed out on the semifinals on the Powell. So I want to look at the fortunes of the team and the success of the team to determine whether or not I'm willing to walk away from Powell. If he doesn't win, and if the team isn't as good as it has been in the past, then we can have that discussion. But I'm not going to push Powell away, bring somebody into the team, and then the team goes off like a rudderless ship and start losing matches, but we're happy that we have the best batting lineup in the team. I'm not joining that posse. No way, no.
Basil, I'm very interested to hear the point that you're making about Hetmeyer. Along with that point, I want you to react to that last comment from Dwight Chateau.
Look, in my view, as I have said to my friends who are great Hetmeyer fans, the player that is keeping Hetmeyer out of the team, in my opinion, is Powell. Because he cannot get into the team, in my view, in front of Rutherford. The batter in the middle is either Hope or Chase. And more times than not, in my view, it would be Chase because Chase would be the 6th bowler, right? And the player that is keeping him out again is Powell. And Powell is only keeping him out because he has captain next to his name, not based on performance, right? So if Powell does not come up to scratch and make runs, because Powell's first and primary role in this team outside of captaincy, he plays as a batsman. And you don't play in a team as captain. So if he does not perform, that is where Hetmeyer will get a chance to play regularly, because I think the experiment yesterday, playing Hetmeyer and not playing either Hope or Chase, I thought was a mistake.
Thank you very much, Basil. I want to ask you a question, though, Basil. For if we look at Hetmeyer last 10 T20 matches for the West Indies, and we look at Rovman Powell last 10 T20 matches for the West Indies, Rovman Powell is ahead of him on the performance chart. So why would Hetmeyer replace Rovman Powell? Why not a Shea Hope replacing Rovman Powell or someone else? But why would you replace him with a player who is ahead of him and who is performing better, judging from the last 10 West Indies matches?
Okay, that's a fair question, but the position that the role that Powell plays as a batter in the team is not the same role that Chase or a Hope would play in the team, right? Hetmeyer is the guy that is most suited to do that. Now, Hetmeyer is not replacing Powell because somebody feel Hetmeyer better than Powell and all of that kind of stuff. It is Powell's job to lose. Is by the situation, if Powell does not perform, the guy next in line, if he is not performing, is Hetmeyer, not because he has a better performance record, but it is purely because Powell is not performing. The next guy in line got to get a chance. And that's how it always goes in selection.
Thank you very much. Good points there Basil are making, Dwight. I think Basil is making some very good points. What do you have to say?
I agree that the player that Powell keeps out of the team is Hetmeyer. I don't believe Hetmeyer is competing with Hope or Chase for a spot in the team, to be honest, because those players are very, very suited for the number 4 position. I don't believe that Hetmeyer bats the number 4 position in T20 very, very well. I think he comes in at 5 or 6. So I really think it's Powell that Hetmeyer is competing against, and he's also competing against Rutherford. But Rutherford has been so good; it has been a non-competition. All right, so I agree with you on that point. But there has been this assumption by all these Hetmeyer fans that Hetmeyer should be in the team. They watch him play in the CPL and they say, "Oh, he should be in the team." But when you look at his record, he has not been that stellar for the West Indies. So I don't share that view that, oh, Powell is keeping him out of the team. I think he needs to put up numbers, and when he gets a chance to perform, he needs to show that he should be in the team. Rather than this assumption that, oh, that Powell is keeping him out of the team. I don't share that view.
Thank you very much. As I said, gentlemen, we are now going to look at what changes, if any, you will make for the match later this afternoon. I would have selected my playing 11 for the match later. But starting with you, Basil, please, what are the changes, if any, you will make to the team for later this afternoon?
I would pick Chase for Hetmeyer. And it's a toss-up because I don't want to send Joseph out of the team off of one poor performance and replace him with Ford. But if I'm going to make a change, the one change I will make is bringing in Chase for Hetmeyer.
Dwight?
Okay, there was a regional commentator, I think it was what, Vernon Springer?
Yeah.
Or something like that, who had a lot to say about how they're not properly handling Shamar Joseph and that he should be given more opportunities and he should be given the leeway to fail sometimes to develop him as a bowler. And I heard all of that and I listened to everything what Mr. Springer said and I said, rubbish. Shamar needs to perform. And if he's not performing, he's going to get dropped. See? And I personally believe that he has been given opportunities and he's not taking hold of the opportunities that he's been given. So I'm personally going to drop Joseph because we are one down in the series. We want to get back on par. And I think that I want to play forward. If later on in the series I can bring back Joseph and give him another opportunity, fine. But right now I'm dropping Joseph at forward. In the middle, I'm going to do something that's interesting. I'm going to bring back Chase in the team and ask Chase to bat at 4. I think we need that stability in that position of the team. I'm not going to drop Hetty from the team, surprisingly. I'm going to rest. I'm going to use the word rest Rutherford for the purpose of trying to get some games under Hetty's belt and ask him to show us more. I'm going to give Hetty an opportunity to show us more. All right, he had to sit on the bench for the entire World Cup over the summer. He has shown some amount of faith in trying to show a certain level of commitment to the team, and I want to repay him with that. He didn't have a good game the last time out, and I'm going to give him another opportunity, but I'm just resting Rutherford because there's really no need for me to drop Rutherford, but just simply to do this, because some of the things that I'm suggesting also has to do with deepening the squad and developing the squad with an eye for the next World Cup.
Okay, thank you very much, Dwight. I'm coming to you, Basil, but I just want to explain my playing 11, the one you're seeing on the screen there. I'm keeping the 6 batsmen from yesterday. I saw Russell walking off yesterday, and I have a sneaky feeling that Russell is not fit to play today.
Mhm.
That's just my perception. I may be wrong. So, taking into consideration that he will not be fit to play today, I am going with Ruston Chase to bat at number 7, and I'm keeping the same 6, top 6 from yesterday. I am also going to drop Shamar Joseph and play Matthew Ford. I have said it on many occasions, and you guys will recall I am the first one to shout out Shamar Joseph's name for the test team. Shamar Joseph have praised me a lot and have given me a lot of accolades for bringing his name to the fore when even before he started playing test cricket. I have said repeatedly that I do not believe that Shamar Joseph quite knows his game for T20 cricket as yet. I think there's a little bit of confusion in where he needs to bowl, what length he needs to bowl, what line he needs to bowl. And I would want to see Shamar Joseph playing some more franchise cricket if he gets the opportunity. And also, hopefully, the T20 tournament that West Indies is set to come on stream in May. I'm looking forward to that. I really think that Shamar Joseph should go back down to the next level and really learn his game as a T20 bowler. Remember, we are talking about a youngster who did not go through the system and never had that body of work. Over to you, Basil.
Yeah, those are fair points. That's interesting. I did hear that Russell was somewhat hobbling a bit yesterday, and I forgot about that. So your point is taken in terms of you bringing in Ford for Russell, or Chase going to be batting for in the middle, and you will have Hetmyer down lower down in the order. That's an interesting selection, but we still back to the 5 bowlers.
Yeah, we still back to the 5 bowlers. All right, let me say this, Basil, why I am going with the 5 bowlers. I think that's the policy of Cricket West Indies was to play 5 bowlers and the 6 batsmen. If they are to change that policy after one match, they are admitting that they did the wrong thing up front.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that they are going to do that. And that is why I'm sticking with the 5 bowlers and the 6 batsmen. And Chase will only add more depth to this batting lineup. Do you see West Indies admitting that they are wrong so early after going? Well, probably wrong is too strong a word, but to say that they are getting the strategy wrong. They did it in the one-day internationals, and now they are sticking with it in the T20. After one match, they are not going to change.
All right, let me answer your question first. I don't have a problem if they want to go in and use 5 bowlers for the T20. I've seen other teams do it. I don't have a problem with that if that's what they're going to do, and that's what they want to develop the team in. That's the direction they want to develop the team in 5. But to your selection, Carlton, you cheated. You cheated. If you're putting down a selection in place because you believe that West Indies should commit to this 5 bowler selection policy, and you want to make changes to the batting, then do that. But don't come to us and tell us that, man, you think that Russell is limping, and you get the luxury of not saying, man, I'm going to drop Russell and I'm going to bring in Chase, because that's a big boy decision that you can make. But you cheated, man. You get to use injury and put your ideas down on paper.
I'm coming back to you to finish your point. But Russell did limp off yesterday. He was struggling. He was struggling in the CPL. I don't think that he's going to play later today. That is my conviction. If Russ is going to play and he's fit enough to play, I have no issue. It's okay. But
no. But I'm okay with that logic. I'm 100% okay with that logic. And if that's the reason you're bringing in Chase or Russell, then fine. Say that's your selection. But you're doing the selection while also trying to have a discussion about the 5-bowler policy. Let's assume, and let me put it to you, what if Russell is okay to play? What would be your line?
No, I already discussed what I thought. So could you move
on?
No.
In the context of the 5-bowler.
No, I'm asking you to move on with the rest of your comments that you were making. I already made mine, and I do not want to develop this into a you say, me say. So continue with your opinions. I just want to respect and understand your opinion. Continue.
All right, cool. But that's all I have to say where that is concerned. I don't have a problem with them looking and putting some focus on a 5-bowler strategy. I think it's an intriguing strategy. There are risks in it for the T20 game because the T20 game is so fluid. You really would want to say you want that 6-bowler just because a bowler could be having a bad day. But I find it intriguing, and I'd like to see them go down the field a bit more and experiment with that idea a bit more before walking away from it. So if that's the position, I'd like to see them commit to it a bit more before walking away from it.
But Basil, Dwight and I are basically saying the same thing there. I'm saying that I do not see West Indies moving away from a strategy after one match. They're going to stick with it. What's your view, Basil?
No, well, I mean, that point, what you're making in terms of them, this is how they're looking to play, and they're going to go down the road, 5 bowlers, 6 batsmen, and this is what they decide they're going to do. I agree with you. They're not going to change after one game. They're going to continue with that way of playing, unless it becomes disastrous for them. I mean, let's say, for example, they do it throughout this just giving an example, they do it throughout this 5-game series, and they lose all 5 of the games, and you could point to the lack of depth in the bowling. Then they will have to recalibrate and think a little differently in terms of going that route. But for now, based on that, I don't think they're going to change from the 5-man bowling attack.
Yes, I was about to go to the live chat and get a feedback from our community. Mm-hmm. However, I want to put this on the table. After India lost the second test match against New Zealand, Binny, the president of the BCCI, instructed that from now on, it's compulsory training. It doesn't matter who you are. Earlier this week, 2 or 3 days ago, there was a 6-hour drilling of Rohit Sharma and Gautam Gambhir. Do you think this is over the top from India, or do you think that is something that West Indies should be looking to institute? Go ahead, Basil.
Now, what do you mean by a 6-hour drilling? With
there's an earthquake, it stopped. It's still rocking.
Oh, y'all get an earthquake in Jamaica?
There's an earthquake. I think it stopped now.
Yeah.
You felt it, do I?
Yeah, I did. And there was a one earlier before this one as well. There was one maybe around half an hour before this one.
But I felt that one just now.
Yeah, that one was pretty hard.
This one just now?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Dwight. We are safe. Thank God. I hope no one is injured.
Yes.
Go ahead, Dwight. Go ahead, Basil. This is live. This is live TV, man. Live TV.
Wow.
Yeah, Carlton, what was the 6-hour drilling? 6-hour practice session?
No, man. This practice session since losing the second test against New Zealand. all players were instructed that there's no, the training is now become compulsory. It's no longer option.
Right.
That was a policy direction from the BCCI. But 2 or 3 days ago, there was a 6-hour meeting between Rohit Sharma and Gwantim Gambhir, Jay Shah, Binny, and some other top-level persons from the BCCI. And they're actually telling Gwantim Gambhir that he does not have the final say on selection. So I want you to react to all of that. Should there be compulsory training for the West Indies squad instead of optional once they gather together? And should there be more accountability from the coach and the captain on the policy that they adopt?
Yes, there must always be accountability. One of the disappointing things in since Mr. Sami is picking the team by himself, he has not come before the reporters to answer no questions as to regarding team selection, choices, etc., etc. Because I know there will be questions to be asked. Especially, for example, people would ask questions, why are you going with a 5-man bowling attack rather than having a 6th option and things like that? Those are things that those are questions that we want, that anywhere in the world you are in elite sport, the media would be asking those questions, but Sami is not coming before the media to answer such questions, and that is disappointing. Well, you see in the case of the BCCI is looking to arrest the situation before it gets out of hand. West Indies cricket has been derelict in doing such things, right? All they have been good for doing is piecemeal, right? All other major world cricket places have done transformation of their cricket landscape. We have yet to do it.
Thank you, Basil. Dwight, I'm coming to you, Dwight, and I want you to react to what I have put on the table and also Basil's reaction. But in reacting to that also, I want you to take into consideration, is Cricket West Indies timid after losing so many lawsuits in the court? Go ahead, Dwight.
All right, first to your question about compulsory training, definitely I agree with that. There definitely should be. On to the question that Basil shared on about accountability, I 100% agree with Basil. I mean, and we've been very, very disappointed with what we have seen so far under this stewardship.
Gentlemen, just a minute. I want you to go ahead with your answer, Dwight. But gentlemen, I'm asking the two of you to keep the show going for about 2 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. So I definitely agree with you, Basil, on this issue about what has happened under Mr. Under Mr. Bascom. I've been very, very disappointed at the lack of accountability. I think we were coming around to a system that we liked, where selectors would face the public, face journalists at the very least, to explain their selections and explain where is it that they're taking this particular team, and could answer about batsmen or bowlers who were not selected and what were the plans in place for that. We don't have that anymore. I think that's a wrong direction in which we're going. Secondly, I also agree with you where we're not seeing a whole some plan that is being put in place in terms of what are we doing in terms of our selection policy. We keep hearing little things coming out. We have heard them say we're not going to use fitness as a means to deny you selection in the team. And that happened some months ago. Later on, they come out again. They say, oh, we're not necessarily going to use the domestic tournaments as the barometer to select you into an ODI team or a T20 team or a test team. We're just going to look at everything. And then finally, you heard them come up with this policy where they'll have scouts across the Caribbean who are the chairman of selectors in the different territories, and they'll report to the coach, and the coach will be responsible for final selection and all of that. Now, there's still a lot of questions out there, and I think a lot of time should be spent just putting together a wholesome transformational thing. And it ties into the question that Carlton asked. Are they still afraid of the players? And my answer to that is yes, they are afraid of the players. They're afraid of making big steps and insisting that these players must come over and commit to playing for West Indies cricket if we hope to get better results. They've been lucky in the T20 game. These players want to play the T20 because it puts them in a better position to get T20 contracts.
Yes.
All right? But the same players will tell you that they have no interest in playing ODI cricket, I guess, unless there's a major tournament around the corner. Or if they're free and available and not doing anything, then they will come and play some ODI games. And then it gets even more complex for the test team. And so we are missing out on having our best test players play for us. The CWI is missing out in terms of what they can do with the brand and the money that we could be making and the development that we could see on the cricket. Mr. Bascom needs to do better. I agree with you. And the board needs to become stronger and take these players on.
Go ahead, Basil.
And Carlton, there are those who would argue and agree with you that the board is soft on the players with the Alzari Joseph that some would characterize as a slap on the wrist for his behavior the other day. He's scared of the players rather than to lower the boom on Alzari, to make it plain and clear to this is behavior we will not tolerate under any kind of circumstances. So there are those that would agree with you that they're soft on that. They're afraid of the players for that reason. They would say that is a manifestation thereof of them being afraid of the players. Because I've heard that argument. But yeah, Chato, I agree with you totally. Because look, you put in place this new selection policy, and you don't even have the infrastructure in place. The infrastructure needed to facilitate this to be a policy. Look, for example, Sammy obviously, as a white ball coach, would not be watching at red ball cricket, right? So a guy like a Kevin Wickham, who performed admirably in the last first class, Sammy would not have seen him. But Sammy saw young Joel Andrew. So young Joel Andrew gets selected to the West Indies team instead of a Kevin Wickham, which in my view, Kevin Wickham is a better player, hands down. Right?
Thank you very much. We're going to come to the Joseph situation later. It's not though from the angle that you are looking at it. I just want to go to the community and see what they are saying. Donald Popper, greetings to you on behalf of my guests. We appreciate you being here. Quick answer, Dwight. In response to what Sheikh Hassan is asking about Hussein, due to the selection policy, he is authorized to be picked.
Why the golden child Akil could come from not playing no cricket games for the West Indies and play. All right, let me just say this. Selection policy or no selection policy. I think if you had played well in the last set of games, in the last set of international games, then I personally just believe that you should be a walk-in. So I don't think whether or not Hussein was participating in cricket games recently should have influenced him coming back into the team. For me, it's not an issue. Basim, you may have
again, Carlton, this is where West Indies Cricket Board does get the hammering from people like yourself. Akil Hussein, why he made himself unavailable to go to Sri Lanka, his partner was expecting a child. That is why he didn't go to Sri Lanka, and the baby actually came later than it was expected. So, I mean, they could have said that, and like what this guy making a comment, calling him the golden child. The guy opted out because his partner was expecting their first child. All of us would that wouldn't be no issue. But West Indies board said, just simply put it a broad generalize it, he opted out. So his opt-out is same like how Pooran opt-out or Russell opt-out or Hetmeyer opt-out. And that is the weakness of West Indies board and their media relations.
Basil, that one is for you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, apology accepted. I don't know what that's for.
Okay.
We have all our opinions.
Gerard Mead think that he would have given Gudakesh Motie the man of the match. Thank you very much. He said for the catch, for the runs, and for the wicket. Thank you. Good point there. Some very good point. Karen Fritz is saying, I can't agree that he should step down. And he's referring to Ravman Powell.
Yeah.
He has taken us to many series victories of late. He captains this side well, even though he has not been bringing in big scores. Maybe he's batting a little too high. Is Powell batting too high, John Commander? Yes or no?
I think he is. I think Powell should be coming in when is closing time. Because Powell doesn't play spin well. He doesn't play. I mean, that's a reality. But that's why they put him there.
Sorry. As far as Gerard Mead is concerned, Powell should be the captain of all formats.
I don't even think the White would agree with that.
As in the Test captain and the ODI captain, and no, I can't agree with that. I think he has been very, very, very. He has done very, very well in terms of coalescing this team and having this team focused. This team works very, very well under him. But I don't think Pearl could even make the Test team. Much less be captain. Here, I can see him making the team. All right, but nah, I can't go with the all formats.
Y'all think
greetings to you. There's a lot, so we want to go a little quicker. Greetings to you, Anthony Jervis, and the Arsenal fans. Arsenal just scored, but VAR is checking for offside. Powell is respected by the guys and not afraid to let the media have it sometimes. I don't agree about the media. I know for one that Powell is running from the media. I don't talk to us very often. There used to be pre-match press conference with the media. Now they only have a select group of media, especially those who are just at the ground. So I don't agree. Let's read Michael Douglas' comment. It's not Sammy M.O. to make changes after one match, but Chase will replace Russell. Russell is in no form or shape to bowl and field. I wouldn't be surprised if Ford come in for Shamar, though. I guess Michael Douglas is on the same wavelength as I.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
Fritz said that Shamar cannot play. Ford has to come in. We need early wickets, and he gets them more often than not. That's a very good point, and that is something that I've been stressing, that Matthew Ford tends to get wicket offside, chopped off.
He does.
Yes. So it's nil all. The goal has been chalked off for the Arsenal fans. Ray Phillips said, I like Chase as a cricketer, but I want to say now that we are coming to a time where we need every bowler to have wicket-taking ability and not just to contain. So we have to find such a bowler. Ray Phillips there singled out Chase for that comment. React to it for me, Basil, and then Dwight. I want quick comments.
Wicket-taking bowlers. What do you mean by that, right? Because there are many ways in which you get wickets, right? You could create pressure and get wickets. You could produce a beauty. You could bowl the worst ball in the world and the batter don't get to hold it and get wickets, right? So let's be clear. And when Chase usually would play, if he plays today, it's 5 bowlers. Now they're going with the 5 bowler thing. But Chase has shown himself to be very effective and taking wickets every time he plays. So I don't know what this guy is talking about.
Do I quickly?
I'm a bit surprised by the comment. I think Chase has shown enough to show that he should be in the team. For me, and this is just me, he's a must pick in the T20 squad. I think there's a bit of he had a not great series, I think against was it
South
Sri
Africa.
Lanka? South Africa, thanks. And that has shifted people's minds a little bit. But just this past World Cup, Chase was taking 7 wickets at 5.3 economy rate. I mean, how can you question that sort of thing? He brings something to the team, which I think is very important.
Chase was my West Indies player of the World Cup, and for the foreseeable future, I would have Chase in every West Indies T20 team unless he's injured or being rest. You know, Christopher Bristol. This is very interesting, Dwight Chateau.
Yes, that's my
Basil, big up yourself, sir. King Brown, respect always. Windies will approach every game. The same way it becomes a trademark for their poor batting and bowling 95% of the time. Christopher Bristol have nothing to do with your Dwight Chateau. And he changed our life is saying Ford for Shamar. Karen Fritz is saying, thank God, you guys good. That is a sign we're gonna rock England, hopefully. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, they stay safe, Brown and Dwight. Oh, yes, Dwight.
No. We're the ones in Jamaica, so that's why he mentioned me there. Respect, Christopher.
Yeah. So Shamar Joseph Ball with no plans. Basil, you think that Shamar should still stay in the team? How do you react to what Christopher Bristol is saying?
The problem with Shamar Joseph is his consistency. And you know something? I don't know. This is something because I don't have the video footage. But the thing that I have noticed about him in recent times, he has a tendency to bowl the ball down the leg side. He was a guy that used to attack the off stump, fourth stump. He was very consistent in those lines when he played in Test cricket in the short time he played. But I have noticed that he has a tendency of going down the leg side, bowling wide. I don't know if there's something in his action that needs to be tweaked so he can be correct or in his lines. I saw that again as I was reviewing the game today. I saw he did the same thing again. Bowling quick, but the ball going down, and so the pattern is easy. I saw one where Saul hit him in the crowd. I mean, he just helped him into the crowd.
I put it to you that he's trying too many things instead of to be great at what he can do best. Do you ever hear that you're a jack of all trade and master of none? Well, he needs to master hitting that top of off stump line like Hazelwood. When he mastered that completely, and it was that type of bowling that I saw in South Africa, why I came on here and said that he must be in the West Indies squad.
Correct.
He bowled 1 over in that match in South Africa. I said it was the best over I've seen from a West Indies fast bowler since Scott and Ambrose. I did said it. And he needs to go back to that.
Yeah.
The 11...
And Carlton, I
yes.
in that also part what you said earlier comes to the forefront. This is a guy that we still forget. This guy is still very inexperienced as a cricketer. So he would have not. I don't think he has ever gone through this kind of adversity. Even because if you played a lot of club cricket and all of that, you're gonna have times you're bowling bad and you have to make adjustments and so on as you're coming up the ranks. But because he is so inexperienced, he flashed onto the scene and did well. But now he's going through the growing pains, the real growing pains of an elite performer, and he doesn't have a experience to fall back on into helping him through this. And this is where it is important to get the support mechanism around him to help him through this process.
Definitely agree. Basil, that comment from Dre said that the team is set up to chase, not to defend. What's your thoughts?
I agree. If you're playing that's a very fair point.
I was to say Dwight, because you just spoke. So sorry about that, Basil.
Go ahead, Dwight.
Let's alternate.
Go ahead.
No. Traditional, the West Indies people generally see us as a chasing team, and they have always looked very comfortable, more comfortable, chasing down a total rather than setting a total out there. A lot of the times we have seen in trying to set totals and they run into early problems, they just get it totally mixed up, confused there, and sure exactly how to recover there, and sure exactly what revised total they should set, and they just make a hash of things. So I'll agree from that perspective that historically the team is set up to be more of a team that chases rather than a team that sets total. But I don't know. I mean, looking at the way the team is written out, I don't know if just looking at that alone I can use that. I can agree with it historically, but in terms of the lineup, I don't know if that's necessarily the case.
Thank you very much. Basil, it's your turn now. Kirk Mahmood is saying that Mr. Cricket Forum and co-host, good morning. If it was up to me, I would rest Powell as captain for the series and let's Chase steps in as captain. I call these comments fantasy cricket because, no, why I said it, it's like it is someone fantasy because you are saying something that is not going to happen. And the first way to provide a good analysis of the situation is to accept the facts, accept what the realities are.
Correct.
And this is not reality because it's not going to happen. So I refer to these comments as fantasy comments, Basil.
I agree with you. They're not going to replace Powell as captain for this series after one loss. Come on. As I have said, Powell needs to make runs because if he doesn't make runs, he's going to find himself outside looking in short order. It doesn't mean this series, but he cannot continue going series after series and not contributing with as a player on the team.
Yes, Dwight, please react to the champion who is saying that Nicholas Pooran is basically the only one that can walk into this team. And
that's the right man you directed to, Carlton.
Yes, Dwight, go ahead, please.
Well, I think there are more than one player who can walk into the team. I think Pooran is one. I think Hussein walks into the team. At this point in time, I think Motie walks into the team. If you left it to me, I would say Rutherford and Chase also walks into the team. All right, that's number one. So I don't necessarily agree with that. Pooran is my boy, really, really good player. I still think he is underachieving. If you come back and you look at his actual numbers, his numbers should be a lot better than they are right now, and should be a lot better if you look at them over the short term, like over the last year or the last 2 years. But Pooran is an exceptional talent in my book. The issue about dropping Powell, I just think that's a waste. But I also think that we need to take some more chances and experiment a little bit more with the team. As I said before, I would like to explore the idea of Petty playing more regularly in the team. And I'm not saying that Rutherford has done anything wrong, but I would, instead of saying something, I'd rest Powell. I'd do something more like rest Rutherford, just to give me a chance to see some other players and to see whether or not they would step up. I'd prefer something like that than something like resting Powell.
How big winning the toss is, Basil, in this series?
To win the toss is to win the game. To win the toss is to win the game. To bat last is in favor of the batsman. It depends on where you're playing. That's all conditional. West Indies, England, I don't think this English team, for example, has an issue with setting a total or chasing a total, right? So that might be something more as a struggle for us as a West Indies team, but not for them at all. And I think you see one of the other things, the last time when England came here with their white ball team, a lot of the guys were inexperienced in Caribbean conditions, and you heard them talking about the wind, how the wind becomes a factor in the Caribbean more than anywhere else in the world. It was something new to them and the pitches, but those guys have accumulated, one, the experience of when they came last year and the World Cup. So that is no longer something that's going to be a deterrent or something that inhibit them. They are fully aware of all these things. And let's remember, Mr. Butler has returned to the England team. I mean, my man took a blind that slip Motie took a blind on the boundary, to dismiss Butler, right? So he now, I mean, if Butler could be anything approximating Butler, that's a serious another opponent that we gonna be facing in the England batting lineup. So this 5-man thing could be interesting going up against that.
Now, this is not about. We have been going for more than a hour, gentlemen. So I hope we can, concise our answer a little.
Yes.
This is not about Alzarri Joseph walking off the field and what punishment and all. This is not about that. I said at the time when it happened that if I was the captain, I would go to Alzarri, whisper something in his ears to get mad, let him stay there boiling for a over or two, and then give him the ball. What's your views on that, gentlemen?
Hey, Carlton, here we gotta get. I mean, it's an interesting point, but I think Alzarri is already a character that is already G'd up before he walks out onto the field. But yet things could get him more G'd up on the field, right? Well, what you need to do outside of the captain trying to provoke Alzarri is make sure you got somebody who's feeling at mid-off or mid-on that will egg him on, I mean, really needle him. Like, Alzarri, you can't got this man doing this to you, ball, egg him on. They got some fast bowlers like that they and this is not for Alzarri. Guys who have quiet demeanors, but you need somebody to light the fire under them to come and give you the thing, right? But Alzarri just needs one misfield. So what you will tell your fielders, y'all misfield one of his balls, and that's good enough.
Do I?
It's weird. It's weird that the lesson that we're learning from this whole Alzarri Joseph situation is maybe this is the way to get him to perform. Let's misfeel his ball. Let's not give him the feel that you want. You want them. That's now the new approach. Sorry, Carlton.
That was a serious ball, dude. That was serious ball.
Yeah, Phil Salt is a special player. He loves playing in the West Indies. Once he get going, there's no stopping him. Fair point. Karen Fritz said, I would agree modern day West Indies without our tearaway bowlers chase well, but we must be building towards not relying on the toss to win every other team. It seems it is doing it apart from us. Is that the case? Can we only win when we chase? We won in Australia earlier this year, batting first and made in 200 and mashing winning that match.
I mean, if we want to become a really good team, and I mean beating the top teams when they're fully loaded, we got to be able to chase. We got to be able to bat first and set totals. There are other things we got to improve also along with that, rotating the strike, hitting the gaps, as we would say, because you want to make your team as bulletproof as much as you can, so they can fare well in all given situations. That should always be the goal.
Thank you. Over to you.
I don't think there's any way you can aspire to be the number one team in the world, in any format for that matter, by hoping just simply to chase and win matches. That's not on. All right. So a big part of how we want to look at developing the team definitely has to be around looking to set strong targets. And I don't think anybody who is in leadership in the team, whether it be Sammy or Powell, they are thinking of building this team around the concept that we'll win the toss and we'll win the toss and set the opposition in because we're chasing the team. I don't think anybody's thinking like that. I think they're looking to develop the team where even if they lose this, even if they're asked to bat first, that they can win games. And moving from 8th to 3rd, I'm sure if we disaggregate those numbers and look on it, I think you'll find that there are a couple of games where we were able to win games by setting strong targets.
Okay, thank you very much, Dwight. I want to thank all of you who are making some wonderful comments, some nice comments. There are a number of comments, but we are here now more than an hour and 10 minutes, and we want to look at the Alzari Joseph incident. Not from the position whether he should have been punished or not. As I've said, I spoke about it for 2 days. West Indies have what you'd call tried him, if you want to use that word, and have suspended him for 2 matches. I have now drawn a line under that episode. What I am asking the gentleman now to react to, and to ask you in the chat to react to, there was one of the talk sport commentator, I think his name is Neil Manthan, I think that's what Basil said. He will give us his name further.
Mantra.
He referred to Alzari Joseph as being filthy. Is that acceptable? Should we ask a white man calling a black man filthy to explain what he meant by that? I expect that to be the least we should expect. There's no way this gentleman, and I put gentleman in quotation mark, should be allowed to call Alzari Joseph filthy and don't explain his action. Gentlemen, what are your views? Let's hear you first, Basil.
Yes, Mantrop is let me just put it in context. Mantrop is English, but he lives in South Africa, and he's been living there for years. So he lives in an African country where it's majority black people. I think the context in how a British person would use filthy is not the literal term. So we would have to ask him to explain how he's using that terminology. That's a fair question to him. So he can allay the fears of or the just outrage by black people and other Caribbean people to the description of Alzari in those terms.
Dwight, I put it to you about 2 or 3 years ago. I'm a Manchester United man. Cavani scored a goal and he made a sign that was perfectly okay in Uruguay. Nothing would have been wrong with it if he made that sign in Uruguay. But he made it in England, and it was said to offend a certain sect of persons. He was suspended. I don't remember how many matches he was suspended for. Whether or not Neil Mantrop of context for what he said, based on what I just said to you, should there be further action apart from just explaining it?
Further action. I think I needed to explain that somewhere. No, I agree. The comment was a bit of a stretch. That saying calling a player filthy, I think is just very borderline and unnecessary. And is likely to stir some sort of a response. So I really thought that it was something that he would have been better advised not to do. At the same point in time, with some jurisdiction, the context in which the word is used is people will say, okay, we understand what he's trying to say, but nonetheless, you're speaking to an international audience, and you also have to respect the player himself. And I thought that comment was not the best thing for him to have said. But in terms of how we would call him up, as a public, we could cry out for him to step forward and say something. But I don't think there's any other way that we could really take a stand against him, per se.
Why is it then, gentlemen, in the Olympics, they always told you, don't make these signs that are not universally accepted. Don't say things that are not universally accepted. We have seen medals taken away from persons who have said things that would have been okay in their country, but because it is not okay internationally. Bear in mind, this gentleman, and I am no way, shape, or form saying that white persons are racist. I'm not saying that. I don't have any information that they are. But we know the stigma and the history that is attached to white persons, to South Africans, and to black persons. Why is it he shouldn't made to explain himself, and why should further action not be taken against him? Go ahead.
I think again, I just think he needs to explain the terminology because look, I've been to England many times and they use phraseologies and terminologies, words that in other contexts would mean something else. So that's why I would want to understand from him how is filthy being used. What do you mean, or what do you mean by saying Alzari is filthy, right? So that is something I would love for him to explain. Yeah.
I thank you. Kirk Mahmood is
And
still...
by the way, he did it on talk radio, and if I'm not mistaken, Philo Wallace is doing comments on that same broadcast.
Right.
I will go to the chat because I'm in a chat with Philo, and I'm going to raise a question with Philo and have Philo to ascertain clarification so I could bring it back to you, Sir Carlton.
Thank you. Kirk Mahmood is still on it, and I love this teaching moment because it's a different scenario Kirk made. It is different context. Ravman Powell was rested after West Indies won the series, and you'd have heard Dwight saying broadening the pool. So it is more of a case that Chase was given the opportunity to captain after West Indies have won the series. It is not the same thing, Kirk Mahmood.
Plus, I think Powell had suffered a niggle. The same match both him and Rutherford suffered niggles. So they were both rested. Because if you remember, the CPL started shortly after, and Rutherford did not play immediately because of the niggle. That's the game that allowed Hetmeyer to get a knock.
Yes. We need to prepare our wickets more fast and bouncy during our domestic competition. This will help to bring out the very best in our batsmen. Agree, Dwight, or you react to it?
I think that we've been improving in terms of the surfaces that we have had across the Caribbean, and I think I think the surfaces aren't that bad. We still want to improve them, but they're not that bad. But if the whole idea is to get our surfaces to be bouncier so that we can be more competitive worldwide, people should remember where the next T20 World Cup will be. Where will that be, Carlton?
You know.
Yeah, there are not a lot of bouncy pitches down there.
All right. Sherwin is saying Basil in South Africa, you are judged based on the color of your skin. Is that still happening?
Yes. Carlton, in South Africa, I am not a black man. I would be called a colored.
Okay.
My sister went to South Africa last year, right? And because the little texture of our hair, because we inherit from our father, my great-grandmother was East Indian. She went to a salon to get braids, right? And the lady said to her, "Are you a colored?"
Yeah.
No. I'm a black woman. So they still got that thing in South Africa, the same colonial stratification, colored. Because look, for example, the guy Bartman is not a black man in South Africa. Bartman is a colored. You think Bartman go anywhere else in the world would be called a colored?
No. Dwight, Joseph is saying that it's equivalent to Tony Gregg saying we'll make them gravel. That famous quote, I think he's referring to the filthiness.
Nah. It's not the same.
No way. That series, when was it? The summer of 75, I can't remember. I think
76.
76. and the run up to that series. And we all know the whole history of the West Indies and England. Worse yet, we also know what happened after World War II with many West Indians going over to help out in terms of with employment in England and what they faced. Go ahead, Basil.
No, I was saying the Windrush.
Yes, yes, and what they faced, being in England and the racism that they encountered and things. That comment in that context came off straight up as a racist comment, as one race appearing to be superior to another race. One race saying these uppity guys who think that they can come up and play, we're going to put them back in their place and let them know where they are. There's no way I see those two comments on the same thing.
And then to put it to you, I think that you are
added more fire to the fuel, more fuel to the fire.
I think you are too acceptable of what that gentleman said. I really don't think that you understand how serious it is for a white man to call a black man filthy. Mm-hmm. It's absolutely serious and despicable and disgraceful. You know, Anthony Sunish is saying, Sam, start with you, Basil, and I will come to Dwight. Both of you, I want to react to this. I don't approve of the new selection policy because it makes Sammy sounds like Putin. Just listen to his take on the Alzarizio. My team and everything is I and my. That's what Sunish said. I don't know if the quote is absolutely correct, but I know that he was saying my and I a lot.
Yes. The culture, my team and the culture I want to bring to the team and so on and so forth.
And I think he said my cricket field too.
Yes. I think, let me just say, I think these are the times where you see Sammy's lack of training as a coach come to the fore, right? He is acting and behaving like he's the captain of the team, right? And when he makes those kind of statements, yes, a coach comes in and sets a culture, right? This is how we are going to play. This is the way we are going to operate within this environment. He's the person who oversees that and so on and so forth. But then the people, the functionaries that are going to uphold that culture has to be the players, the leadership within the team. They're the ones, because it makes your job easy as a coach when players hear it from their peers rather than from me, right? The selection policy, again, as I said earlier, the infrastructure is not in place. So this notion about why can't the coach still be held accountable and we have a selection panel? I don't see why not. In professional sport here in the United States, the coaches don't draft everybody. There's a consensus within the organization who they're going to draft, but it still could knock the coach off if the team don't play well, right?
Thank you very much, Dwight.
Listen, and my answer may surprise a lot of people. I do not have a problem with the shifting selection policy where the coach is the one who makes the final pick. Or the final selections. I do not have a problem with that. I actually think that it is the way forward. What we had before was a system where when the team didn't perform, who do you blame? Is it the selectors? Is it the president? Is it the coach? Is it the captain? By putting it down and saying this is the man who is responsible, then we have very clear lines in terms of responsibility. And guess what? He gets to put a team with him who will work with him, that he will basically come up with his ideas in terms of what he should do. He'll hear from different people, but at the end of the day, he's responsible. So I think the element of responsibility and clear lines of responsibility, I think that is a way forward that I like about this selection policy. The problem I have with it is the part of the accountability. He needs to be able to come before us and to explain to us what exactly were you thinking when you made this pick, or explain to us what his vision for the team is and where he wants to take the team and what's up with that particular player. So that is the part of the selection policy I do agree with. But this thing where he's given more power and where he becomes responsible and where he can hide behind the selectors as to why the team is performing, I like that approach.
Thank you very much. Dan Dada, the legend, big up yourself. Let me say something to you again, Kirk Amu. Whether you think that Powell is in the team due to his captaincy, I don't have a problem with that. I don't have an issue with that. That's not what I'm debating. Whether you think Powell should not be in the team, it's your opinion. I respect that. Whether you think that he should be in the team, it is your opinion. I respect that. This is probably the best thing you ever stated from morning because it is your opinion. But the previous comments that you were making, although they were your opinion, they were not realistic. And that's what I was trying to teach you. There's no sense in you making unrealistic demand or unrealistic comment. This one is a fair one. Because you're saying that the only reason that Powell is in the team is because he's a captain. You may well be right. Others will doubt you, but it's the nature of the game. Different people have different opinion, but don't make unrealistic posts when they are not going to happen. You're really taking over from Sherwin, because I see Sherwin fighting with Steve Russell. But
before you finish off it, the question I want to ask Kurt, because I think it's an interesting question that he has asked. I actually think, like you, I think this is a really interesting position he has laid down. The only thing keeping Powell in the team is the captaincy. Now, the question I think that we all should ask ourselves right now, is that enough of a reason to keep him in the team? Is he a liability because he's in the team just for his captaincy? Or has he been so good as a captain and trying to put somebody else in the job would put the team in jeopardy? Is that a good enough reason to keep him in the team, albeit he may not be performing up to the highest standards with the bat?
Let me say this. I agree with you, Dwight, that Powell should remain captain for the time being. I agree with you. I also agree with Basil that Powell is not captain for perpetuity. My position is that I don't reach that point yet where I'm going to say Powell should not be the captain. I don't reach that point yet. Basil, I don't know if you reach that point yet.
I'm like you, Carlton. I have not reached that point yet where I say we got to jettison Powell tomorrow. But I have just put out the warning signs saying Mr. Powell has to perform or he may find himself in the same position that occurred to him when he was the ODI captain, where not only lost the captaincy, he was jettisoned from the team.
And I absolutely agree with you, Basil, but I just don't reach that point yet. So Sherwin, I was speaking about Sherwin. I saw. So this is an idea of what is going on between Sherwin and Steve Russell. They're really
Carlton, Sherwin is those are the people that make it really interesting. We'll have to have those kind of people. Sherwin can come with all his controversial comments.
Yes, and yeah, Russell respond to him. They are really going at it.
So how we come to being racist?
I do not.
Racist comments?
Patrick Roberts is saying this level of disrespectful to our players should not be condoned by anyone. Who the hell is this guy? I must say that's my same thought process like what Patrick Roberts is saying there. Gentlemen, I'm telling you the truth. I got from you and Basil that it's like you're soft on this guy and prepared to condone it.
No.
Go ahead, Basil.
I am not soft on the guy because I know. Here, I'll give you an example, Carlton. Y'all Jamaicans, y'all they say idiot, you're idiot. No, somebody who is not from Jamaica that don't understand the context how you guys use idiot would say you telling this man calling this person a real idiot or whatever. Whereas everywhere outside of Jamaica, you call somebody an idiot is fighting words. Right?
I'm coming to you.
So you gotta understand how he using filthy.
I'm coming to you, Dwight. But I'm putting it to Basil that I've never heard a Jamaican call someone an idiot on the international stage. Maybe in Fort Lauderdale, where there's a big Jamaican community, maybe in Jamaica. But I've never heard someone call another person idiot. So I don't think that is a good analysis.
No, I don't agree with you, Carlton. What I am trying to explain to you is how Jamaicans would use the word idiot, right? It's not the same way most other people will use the word idiot. That's all I'm saying.
But I told you what happened to Cavani when he made the sign after scoring a goal. And that sign was perfectly legitimate in Uruguay. But he was banned in the UK for 2 or 3 matches. Let's see what...
I am not condoning Mantorp's use of the word filthy. All I am saying is that just like how you guys creolize the word idiot, maybe in the way he used filthy is in a similar way. So let us hear. I will reach out to Mr. Philo to get clarification on that use. And then we could have a further debate on the topic.
All right. No, Basil. Basil. I have already said that what the commentator said is right there up and borderline. That's actually what I said, borderline in terms of the comment that he has used. But let's be honest, Alzari Joseph did something that was pretty extreme. I can't remember.
We're not discussing that.
No, listen to what I'm saying. Listen to what I'm saying. He did something which was pretty extreme. And if somebody said, man, that is filthy of you as a player, I could understand the context in which you're saying that. For a player to just walk to have an altercation with his captain and walk up, I've never seen that happen in a cricket match. Just walk off the field and go and sit down and cuss and all that. You say, man, for you to do something like that, that's very filthy of you. No, you are treading on questionable grounds, in my opinion. But I said I'd like to get to find out more. I wouldn't immediately hear that and think that was racist. I wouldn't immediately hear that and say, man, you're extremely disrespectful to the player. I'd want to hear a little bit more. And that's what I said.
Let me just say this. In the British context, you would hear them use the word filthy to mean bad. Not filthy as in dirty. Filthy to mean bad. So that's why I said I will get Mr. Philo to get clarifications.
Thank you. Michael Douglas is saying, and this is something that I thought about on Friday. I think the team, I saw the team in my email at around 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock in the morning, thereabout. I personally think West Indies Cricket Board, well, CWI means, naming the T20 International squad a day before the series begin is a disrespect to all the stakeholders involved, such as the fans, journalists, media house, etc. Go on, Basil, and then let's start with Dwight this time. I think it was you first the last time. Go ahead, Dwight.
Man, how many times are we going to come back to this place? Basil and I, we've been very, very clear about what on earth is going on under Miles Bascom and company. And I don't know if this also extends to changes that they're having in terms of their media communication officer or whatever the situation is. But this is really poor. This is really poor. I listened to an interview. I think it was the final ODI game with England and the West Indies, and they had Miles as the guest during the innings break, and he was there saying, yeah, we haven't released the, and there are things to explain to him and for him to understand that it's unacceptable to be naming your squad so late before a series. That is just something that wasn't the norm before. That is increasingly becoming the norm. And I just think it goes down to the people who are there not having the respect that they need to have for the fans more than anything else.
I agree. I agree. I don't have to add anything to that because I've spoken about this ad nauseum. We could move on, Carlton.
Do you think that these guys do not understand the role of the fans? Do you think that they don't understand that fans bring eyeballs to the cricket and sponsors want eyeballs on their banners and on their products?
Correct.
Do they understand that it is those eyeballs that is watching the cricket that really pays them?
Correct.
And that they need to treat us with another level of respect? Do they understand that shows like the Cricket Forum, when we are doing a watch along and we're having 1,000 persons on the watch along, on the live chat, interacting about the game, do they understand that when sponsors see these things, they realize that the value of the product of West Indies cricket is of a great value? They don't realize that those things. Do they realize these things, gentlemen?
Carlton, look at in the United States, the professional teams of all the leagues have tried their best to make sure to get the fans as close to the players. Why you think half an hour after game is over, that's a grace period, the media get to walk into the locker rooms, including women. So players know they got to have themselves presentable with the women. That is part because they want to get the fans as close to the players. The more the fans, because a fan, you know this is a fan, the more you could get close to your favorite player, the more you're going to be intrigued and want to be looking at the game. Why you think even though you got that, you still got after that, the players still got to go and do a press conference after each game and interact with the media, because the media is our voice. It's through the media. And if you don't do that, there's a serious fine to be had. We are still, West Indies cricket are so in the dark ages when it comes to their media relations and many other things too. They're in the dark ages.
Do you think, please react, do you think they understand the concept of fans and eyeballs and sponsorship?
The simple answer to it is I don't think they understand the significance of it. If you ask them, do they understand? They'll say, yes, we understand. But they clearly do not understand the significance of it and the significance of it in this day and age. Buzzy said it very, very well. As fans, what we want is closeness to the game. And the and the way the sport is our proximity to the game is based on our favorite player, our favorite players, our favorite team. We want information. We want to know. We want everything. We want press conferences. We want interviews. We want background stories. We want to know the reason why a player isn't playing. We want to know the reason why a player has not been selected. If a player says personal reason, that is not good enough for us. We want to know why. And if as an organization you understand this and you understand how it fuels our attention, how it fuels sponsorship to the game, how it fuels attendance to the game, then as a body, the West Indies Cricket Board, well, West Indies Cricket operates in a very, very different way. The fan experience is one of the poorest parts of what we have seen over the development of our cricket over the last few years. It's as if it's taken for granted that we will follow the game. It's taken for granted that we will come out. It's just taken for granted. There isn't enough effort being paid in deepening the fan experience and connect and us being able to connect. And it shows itself in disrespectful behavior like this. How can you name a team a day before the game? That's just foolishness.
They did the same thing with the ODI. Because to add to that, what you're saying to Carlton quickly, we also want to know why you didn't perform well. So when you come before the press conference, you will be asked by the media what
Exactly.
you performed well. So that we want, because that is why a fan, they need to remember the fans is short fanatics. So the more information you can give them that is possible, the more you will have them involved in watching the game. You see? But West Indies cricket, as I said, are in the dark ages when it comes to that.
Okay, I just checked there. Arsenal is leading 1-0 now.
I gotta be off before 1 o'clock. So
yeah, we will be. Okay. Now, hi Eugene, I appreciate your comment. I appreciate your interaction and participating. But we cannot understand what you are saying from the post. You make a statement, and so we don't know if you are asking a question or where you're going with it. So we ask that for us to react to your comment, we are asking that you be, you really ask a question much better. Pascal Vitalis said,
I know what he's saying though, Carlton. I know exactly what he's saying.
It is disrespectful to call Alzari filthy. Is he better than Alzari? MS is saying the word filthy does not pertain to any particular race. So it's not a racist statement, but it's a disrespectful statement. Mr. Casanova said filthy can mean unpleasant or bad-tempered and aggressive depending on context. Filthy means filth, and so Steve Russell is saying check the dictionary. And Pedro German is saying in Barbados, when we use the term filthy, it means you are dirty or cuss bad. So persons are really saying, so yes, Gerard Mead is saying, Philo will never tell you the truth, because if he is critical of that man, he would lose his job. Basil, a lot of persons in social media like me or so on will never work for the mainstream media because we are far too independent and we do not want producers telling us what to say. Do you think Philo Wallace will tell you the truth?
Yeah, I think he would. I think he would, because that is not a job. And I don't think it's about Philo criticizing him. It's about Philo finding out from him what he meant. That's all I want Philo to do. Not to, if Philo wants to criticize him in the comment, then he could do so. But I'm just asking to find out from Neil Mantrop what he meant by referring to Alzari's actions as filthy.
Thank you, Basil. Your final comment?
Well, my final comment is I'm looking forward to West Indies pulling off a victory today. That is my hope. That is how I want to end today. On a positive, West Indies coming with a victory this evening or this afternoon into the evening.
Dwight, your final comment?
Well, like Basil, I'm hopeful that we'll pull off a victory. I believe that we definitely have the quality in the team to win this series and win it well as well. I think that we've been playing some good cricket, and I expect that to come to the fore. So I'm expecting us to recover and do well in this series and to win this series.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dwight. I want to say to all the fans, it was a pleasure being here with you. Thanks for your interaction. I know we would have missed a number of comments. There were so many comments. We appreciate it. We want to thank Basil and thank Dwight for being here. And this comment from Pascal Vitalis, we appreciate it so much.
Who you said, Christopher?
I like the way you express yourself. You guys are doing a very good job.
Who said that, Christopher?
Thank you very much. We hope to continue to bring value as we have these shows. We'll be back later tomorrow with a live watch along. Until then, see you. Dwight have something to say? Go ahead, Dwight.
No, I was just checking if the comment was from Christopher. It's Christopher who said it, right?
No, Pascal.
No, Pascal Vitalis.
Oh man, I'm so disappointed.
You are disappointed with a good comment, Dwight?
No, that is not from Christopher.
Oh, you were hoping that it was from Christopher.
Yeah, yes.
Thank you very much, Pascal. It was a pleasure. It was a pleasure having you all. Join me later for the live watch along. Hopefully, Andre will be here. Until then, take care of yourself. Take care of your loved ones. Bye for now.